Righto, General Math students. We're going to continue looking at annuities in arrears. In this video, we're going to calculate the size of the monthly repayment involved, or the size of the regular payment. So let's get started. So this is something that you're expected to be able to do under test or exam conditions. If we look at the annuities in arrears formula, it looks like this. Or P there rather. So the amount owed with n periods remaining is equal to the regular payment, and this is the rest of the formula. Okay, so if we're looking back, that's our formula from earlier. We're just this one here that we're looking at. Okay, so what we need to do is get the regular payment on its own in the equation. We've done some really similar manipulations earlier with our annuities in advance formula. Now to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to take our I value that's on the bottom here, and that's going to go over the other side and multiply, because it's dividing on that side, so it'll go over the other side and do the opposite, which is multiply. And then these brackets, all of this which is all multiplying by the regular payment, that does the opposite, that goes over the other side and divides. So essentially, in a nutshell, what we get is that the regular payment is equal to the amount owed with n periods remaining times I divided by all the stuff in these brackets. Okay, so if we put all that information into this equation, and I'll just rub all this out so that we've got some room to do that. So essentially our equation looks like this, that the regular payment is equal to the amount owed times I over 1 take 1 plus I to the negative n. Okay, so putting all the information in, okay, so it's $300,000 is the amount owed at the beginning, times by our interest rate is 9.5%, 0.095 monthly, and then we put that in down the bottom as well. Okay, now to the power of negative n. Okay, so we're talking 25 years monthly, so 25 by 12. Okay, 25 by 12 means that at the beginning there are 300 payments remaining. That's always a negative for annuities in arrears. There are our 300 payments remaining. Okay, so you might want to pause the video and try putting that into the calculator. And this is what we'll get. So to put that into the calculator, start with the fraction button, times and another fraction button. Okay, good practice this. You must practice this to make sure you know how to do it. Oops, doing it wrong. I've got to go to the power of negative 300. Then I'll close that bracket. So that's what we want to put in. And we get 2621 and 9 cents. So if this person wants to pay off this housing loan in exactly 25 years paying monthly, that's what they'll have to pay each month. So let's continue on then. So they're asked now the amount owed after 5 years. Okay, so this is really similar to the previous video. The new part of this video was looking at this part A, but the rest of this example is useful, so we'll continue the video. This is something that you've done before. You might want to pause the video now and see if you can get the answer before I do, and then I'll show you what we get. Okay, So we're back to the regular equation here. P equals R times 1 take 1 plus I to the negative n over I. So we're just calculating the amount owed. So the I value is going to stay the same, but the n value changes. We're 5 years in, which means we have 20 years left. By 12 periods per year means that n is 240. Okay, that's our n value, is 240, because we're talking about periods remaining, not the number of periods that have elapsed. So in this case, we're going to have our payment, 262109, and all the rest is the same with the interest rate, but to the negative 240, because that's how many periods are remaining. And if you put this into the calculator correctly, you should find that this is what's still owing at this point in time. 281,193 and 25 cents is what's still owed after 5 years of payments. Now that's always the tricky part, adjusting from the annuities in advance and the compound interest, where it's the number of periods that have elapsed or number of payments that have been made. In annuities in advance, it's how many are remaining. All right, the amount of the halfway stage. All right, pause the video and try this one on your own, then I'll do it. Okay, halfway. Well, that's that halfway is halfway through the loan. Now, originally there were 300 payments, so halfway means that we're going to have 150 payments remaining. So it's very similar to just the same as before, but we change the number of periods remaining. Okay, so this is what will go into the calculator, and you should get this much. 229,636.57. Right, now very useful to consider this last bit, D. And if you haven't considered this yet, I'm just going to suggest that you pause the video and think for a while, or a few moments at least, about why this is the case. Then I'll talk about part D. Okay, so what have you come up with? What they're asking about here is the fact that originally 300,000 was borrowed. Right? Now, halfway through the loan, we still owe this much. All right, so we haven't paid off half of the amount owed, even though we're halfway through the loan. And why is this? Well, essentially the reason is because the bank is charging interest. So at first in a loan, we tend to pay a lot more interest because the amount owed is really large. They're charging an interest rate or a rate of interest on a large amount. And, that can cause, that leads to a large amount of interest. And you'll find that a lot of the time, the payments that you're making are actually almost entirely interest. Like the entire amount is interest. If you look at the very first payment that would be made, for instance, they'd be charging, they'd be taking that original amount owed, 300,000, and they'd be charging an interest rate for the month of this amount. So if we put into the calculator, the first month's amount of interest is 300,000 by 0.0 over 12. So 2375. Okay, and if you look at the amount that's paid each month, 2621, so out of that 2621 and 9 cents, $2,375 worth is interest. So you're only paying, it's less than $300 off the amount that's owed, the original amount. So when you get down to a very low amount, though, you can imagine that you are paying off most of the principal and there's only a little bit of interest left. So yeah, that's the essential reason there for that one. Okay, so thanks for watching the video. Go ahead and have a look at the description for the video and try some of those questions.